Critical Thotz.
Do you really love yourself? Or did you try loving yourself and realized it only felt like a chore? How can you love yourself if you feel like you're constantly disappointing yourself? No matter how much you look into the mirror and say your affirmations, something just doesn't change, right? You're never able to follow through on things, get things done on time, or even commit to the things that you really want to do. You end up feeling shitty and depressed, and no one understands you. You know why? Because you do not understand you. If you have felt even a sliver of what this is like, then you know how draining the cycle of never feeling like you're enough can be. But don't worry. I'm going to help your thinking. I used to feel exactly like how you did, and I made it my personal mission to undo all of this shit within myself. It was definitely not pretty in the beginning. It's like if you walked into an old storage room that hadn't been cleaned in years and found it overrun with dust and cobwebs. If you're watching this, maybe you still feel like your mental room could use some housekeeping, but you just don't know where to start? Well, you're in luck because today's episode is titled, You're Not Using Your Brain Properly, Have a Critical Thought. We're going to be exploring how you can use your brain to better understand yourself and others, and how this can possibly change your life. Meaning your relationships with yourself and with others, and the depth of those connections can be transformed if you watch until the end of this episode. I am not here to play any games or give you gimmicks. I know you're smarter than that. Welcome to the Critical Thotz podcast, where we're all about watering our thirsty minds and exploring new perspectives. I'm your host, Reen, a 22-year-old writer who graduated from law school last year and thinks that the education system was designed to break our souls. I started this podcast because I want to be real with you, in the way that nobody was ever real with me, about the things that really matter. Not the bullshit that they shove down our throats in school, but the real shit that helps us be real people, real humans, that not only survive, but blossom on this planet. I'm going to be sharing my insights on mental health, spirituality, relationships, history, tech, wealth, and beyond. As an academic and critical thought, I'm going to be giving you my unfiltered perspective on these subjects, so you can actually learn cool things that help influence your life in a positive direction. In today's episode, I'll cover 3 points that you can use by the end of this episode to start using your brain properly, so you can feel more in control of the things that you can control, meaning your thoughts and which thoughts you choose to believe in from others. Number 1, what is critical thinking? Number 2, how can I use critical thinking in my daily life? And number 3, how to practice being open-minded every single day. Number 3 might seem out of place, but it's the most important step in being a critical thought. Remember, folks, only those with open minds can really prosper in real life. And those with closed minds, well, they become kind of like Patrick Star from SpongeBob, in the sense that they live under a rock. Okay, babes, pull out your pens because it's time to take some notes. Number 1, what even is critical thinking, and why should I care? So, critical thinking is the ability to use your logic and reasoning to question what you've been told. And for this to work, you need to have an open mind, because without that, you won't be able to listen to the other person without your mind playing commentary in the background and like rejecting everything that they're saying. Okay, especially if you're having a debate or something. So you need to be able to listen and engage with different perspectives if you want to get ahead in life. Even those that make you want to punch the other person. Trust me, I've been there. You might be asking why, like what does this even have to do with feeling better about myself? And here's the thing, Okay? Once you learn how to critically think, you can begin to understand your personality and why you do and why you like the things that you do and like. It can be about the simplest things, okay? Like why you prefer to drink coffee every morning instead of tea. Is there even a reason for it, or are you just so used to it that you're terrified of change? As a law grad, what I can assure you of is that I did not graduate with honors because of fancy words or those ugly wigs that they still wear in court, but because I have an open mind. I can step back from all the bullshit and really take the time to understand the ins and outs of an issue from an objective point. Like, let's say I told you to tell me from off the top of your head, like the top 3 best places to live on Earth. What would you say? Maybe some nice tropical island like the Maldives, or a fancy city like New York City, or even a picturesque Greek mountainside town. But do you really think that would be the best place to live for you? If not, then why are those places the first that you think of? Is it because you're just so used to hearing them that you think, if it suits others, then it surely must suit me too? That's when we make our first huge mistake. When you think like this, you erase yourself. You erase the opportunity to really ask yourself, am I the kind of person who wants to live in a fancy city with all these high rises and that intense, fast-paced lifestyle? Or do I want to slow down and live a simple farm life and moo all day long with my cows? If this surprises you, leave a comment about where you thought is the best place to live versus where you actually would like to live. I want to see the difference. Number 2, how can you use critical thinking in your daily life? I think the main thing is that you have to be receptive and question everything. Be a skeptic. In fact, I used to do this so much in school that people nicknamed me I Have a Question. As Marcus Aurelius once said, everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. If you understand the simple thing, then you can begin questioning people's motives. You know why that's an important skill? So that we can become picky with what information we choose to believe in. Like, you wouldn't trust a dictator to tell you that longer work hours are good things. Or Andrew Tate to tell you about women's rights. Right? If you want to start flexing this muscle more often, you only need to sit with yourself. And that might be scary for a lot of us, but you can really create a dialogue between yourself and play both sides of an argument. Can you see why people believe the things that they do? Expanding this perspective will help you understand why people get into heated arguments in the comments section over the dumbest things. Like, sometimes I'm watching a reel on Instagram and I'm scrolling and I check the comments section and some guy writes, haha, she's hairy, or something stupid like that, and there's 78 comments under the replies. Why? Why do people entertain other people's opinions on the internet so easily? It's wild to me. If you guys can answer this question, let me know in the comments below or send a voice message. I'll share all the links in the show notes. Lastly, how can you practice being open-minded every single day? I feel like there's so many people who just zone out when others are talking to them, and honestly, if you're that kind of person, then people are eventually going to think that you're kind of rude, and you definitely, I hope, don't want that. So be present when other people speak to you. What do I mean by that? Well, here's a trick. Just listen to them like how you would want them to listen to you. This will help you feel empathetic towards them. Even if they're saying the dumbest, most inane stuff that makes you want to bang your head repeatedly, just pretend for a moment, they are the seatbelt and you are the buckle. Does that make sense? They're the seatbelt, you are the... This looks kind of wrong, but you know what I'm saying? It's about being the listener. When you actively listen, people feel that and they talk more. And that's when you get to start forging a connection with people. So to feel more present, you can feel your hands in your pockets. You can feel the sunlight in your eyes as the person speaks to you. Nod your head. Feel every minute and be as present as you can. It's super hard to do yourself justice, especially when you first meet someone. Don't you wish people would be more open and receptive when you spoke? Like, you can really tell they're listening to you. So give people a chance. Don't judge them, but instead try to make space for their mistakes. You don't have to be fake or artificial, like this is not Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Instead, just listen. And understand that the more you actively listen to people, the closer you can get to understanding them, their motives, and why they do the things that they do. It's essentially a win-win. The other person feels heard, and you get one step closer to understanding the complexity of other people and becoming a critical thought. So try this out for the next few days and comment below or send me voice messages using the link in the show notes and see how these 3 simple new ideas can change your life and relationships with others. I need your help to create a community of critical thoughts in this dumbed down cookie cutter world. Just remember that anyone can become a critical thought, regardless of gender or whatever. It's a lifestyle, baby. Next week, we'll be discussing how basic empathy seems to be a lost art, the serial killer epidemic of the US, the neurologist who found out he's a psychopath, and how all of this shit is connected. If you learned something new or enjoyed this, tag someone who you think needs to learn how to use their brain properly. And until then, I hope you have a thoughtful day.